Hey, what's up guys? My name is Tom Spark and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about what is the best VPN to choose if you need a dedicated IP with it. So let's go ahead and find out which VPN you should choose for that today. Now guys, there are a couple different options out there in terms of dedicated IPs. The ones that actually do sell specific dedicated IP add-ons is very small. In fact, I think there's only really a couple of them out there. Even though there's like 60 to 100 VPN providers, I think like the only ones that actually do are stuff like TorGuard, Astral VPN, I think, and maybe a few others that I can't even remember because they're really not that good of VPNs. So a dedicated IP, the real purpose of it is you to be the only person ever using it, and there's a huge benefit to that in some specific cases. One of the more interesting cases lately I've discovered for dedicated IPs is that if you're using some kind of cryptocurrency exchange or some kind of website that has a security option that lets you maybe only use the account to make trades or do something on the account, maybe even get into the account, or even in terms of like hosting email providers or hosting websites, sometimes these services lock you out if you're not using a specific IP. So one way to use these dedicated IPs is to actually use them as a security method. So if you put a website, like say a cryptocurrency exchange or any other kind of secure backend to only be accessible through one IP, you could therefore assign it to the VPN IP assigned to you, and that way you can actually connect securely through a VPN and have this IP and connect to these services, and no one else ever can. So it's kind of a cool method of using dedicated IPs for kind of like security. Additionally, there are some people out there that say, hey, dedicated IPs aren't necessarily the best for anonymity, and there is a certain truth to that, because when you're sharing IPs with people, generally there's more anonymity assigned because you can't be identified as easily. If you have an account with a VPN and they sell you a specific IP, there's a little bit less anonymity there. However, most people who are using dedicated IPs are more so using it for the security or convenience factor, not necessarily for anonymity. So with that in mind, there are also other use cases for dedicated IPs, like the ability to not get locked out from certain websites that detect you using a specific IP or outside of a range will log you out or make you do captchas or re-verify yourself in some way. Sometimes this is common with banking websites, even stuff like Discord, this can be a problem. And a lot of times you just kind of want to have the same IP, so dedicated IP can be useful for those reasons. Sometimes dedicated IPs can also be useful for unblocking specific websites or content. If they detect you using a VPN, for example, it might not let you access the website itself. There are certain websites out there that don't like VPN users. Some VPN websites themselves don't want you purchasing or using their websites with VPNs because they don't want to have to deal with fraud. So dedicated IPs are a good way around that, not having to show you real IP but still being able to access websites. So guys, now that we understand the difference and benefits for using a dedicated IP versus a shared IP, let's go ahead and talk about what my top option for purchasing one with a VPN is. So guys, some of the options out there for dedicated IPs would probably be like something like Astral or TorGuard or NordVPN. Now, Astral, I don't really recommend that often, and it's so expensive and no one really talks about it or cares about it. But maybe some of the comparisons that you might see more often would be something like TorGuard and NordVPN. Now, NordVPN has a dedicated IP method and purchase idea that you can do, and here's the page here. So what you can do is add it with these instructions. The only thing is it's going to cost $70 on top of your regular VPN subscription. $60 plus $70, which is around $130. So now looking at the plan right now, they don't even have a 2 or 3 year plan anymore. It's only $60 for the first year, but after that it's going to be, and then here it is, it's only valid for the first year. So it's going to be $60, and then it should be $120 after that year, which is around $180 for well, no, it's $60 for the first year plus $70 for, so it's $130 a year for the dedicated IP with this plan, and then the next year it's going to be $120 plus $70 equaling $190 if you stay subscribed to that bundle for the second year. So in conclusion, I don't really recommend NordVPN for the dedicated IP plan. TorGuard, however, does it much better. They have a specific plan that bundles in a dedicated IP, which is really nice. You don't have to get it as a $70 add-on and worry about how all the pricing works in conjunction with each other. So this plan here gives you also 12 simultaneous connections, which is really nice. It also gives you that dedicated IP as well as a 10G add-on, as well as more ports for port forwarding. So this is like their little pro plan, and it has all those benefits. It's around $13 for 1 month. However, if you input code TOMPRO, it's only going to be around $6.50 a month. Additionally, you can also get the annual package, which is $120, but code TOMPRO makes only $66 a year. So if you remember, NordVPN was around $60 for the first year, $120 after the second year, but you have to do 60 plus 70, which is around $130. So which would you rather do? $66 a year for TorGuard, that includes the dedicated IP as well as everything offered here, and then it will also be $66 the next year, or you could go the other options. Check those out if you want. But guys, trust me, this is the one to go. This is the best VPN for dedicated IPs. So you can see alone, just by the pricing itself, this one is a go-to to go. Just remember to use code TOMPRO. That's what makes the deal so good. Honestly, even if you don't even use a code, it's still cheaper than other options out there just because this bundle pricing is so good. Not only that, but you can check out the TorGuard review for more information about the VPN in itself as a whole. It has excellent speeds, top-notch customer support, no log policy, excellent reputation, and amazing speeds, full WireGuard support and everything like that. And a little bonus, new applications are coming out this year, brand new UI, so they're updating the website. Everything is updating all over the wazoo. So it's a good one to go for. Just remember to use code TOMPRO. Click on the links down in the description down below if you want to learn more about the channel and VPN tier list itself. And I'll see you in the next video very soon.